are considered as Hinduized. And if you follow the work of G.S. Ghure and other, especially G.S. Ghure, how actually he uh, termed them as the backward Hindus. But then, if we see as regard to the tribes of the central belt, it appears that uh, by the time of the writings of Puranas, most of them had hardly been Hinduized, and and in case of other tribes, the tribes of this region also have an idea of a supreme being who is responsible for bringing creation and existence in this world, and this supreme brings controls all other spirits, and and the tribal people were influenced by if you read the history of these particular tribes, you'll get to know that how the Christian missionaries they influenced these tribal communities, and time to time the Islamic invaders also left a kind of footprint in some of the areas, but due to their intervention, some very though very few in number, few tribal households also accepted Christianity and Islam. And with regard to kinship terms used by different caste and groups are almost the same all over the states of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Only thing that they use it with the variation in terms of pronunciation is noticed. And for example, if you take Kutum, which usually refers family, is the smallest unit that shares the common ritual and more of the clan, and all members of the family unit are bounded by a kinship tie, and uh, without a male child, if you see, the family is considered as incomplete, and they always anticipate the problem of succession and generational renewal when it comes to the male child, and they believe that only through the male child this is possible, and widows and divorced daughters of a family are accepted as liabilities, and separation from a kutum in the same village or town is not encouraged, and it is contrarily taken improper if somebody ventures to break the ties with a joint family. And if you take the example of wheels, among the wheels, no sooner a boy and a girl get married, the couple is separated as a part of convention, and other than the birth links, people are also linked through ritual acts. And one of such kinship is the kinship of ritual brothers and sisters, known as Guru Bhai and Guru Bahan, which is acquired through a common teacher. And this type of kinship is regarded as more serious than the Dharma Sambandha or the relation sanctioned by a particular religion. And if you see the community law on the birth of a child or the day or the death of a person, there is always the community law that works to keep the perpetuality of rites and rituals. And it is the social system wherein the caste has to submit without questioning. And with regard to the importance of panchayat is obvious in relation to customs and tradition. And the religious those who perform rituals, they are called as gunia or wadi or gaita, badua, and it varies. The names are names varies when you at the, different regions. And with regard to birth, the male child gets preference over the female child, as the birth of a male child is regarded as fulfillment of one religion due to the ancestors. And the announcement is made by beating a thali, and if it is a male child, conventional designs symbolizing the footmark of the child and toys called pagila are drawn on a piece of paper and sent through a village barber to the nearest kins living in other villages. And it makes a kind of, it marks a kind of good news, and in return the barber brings back clothes and ornaments for the mother and the newly born child. And on the ninth or the 11th day after the child's birth, the sun god is worshipped by the mother, and the child is brought out to see its rays. And this puja is called, this ritual is called Suraj Puja. And with regard to marriage, divorce, and remarriage, marriage is considered as an obligation on part of all individuals, as through it, it is one of the important tasks for perpetuation of patriarchal line. And because of marriage, it becomes possible. And marriage among tribal is usually within an endogamous group, and violation of this rule often leads to excommunication. And exogamy is permitted only in the same village, and among the same gotra. Marriage is possible in the agricultural communities, especially in the areas of central Madhya Pradesh. And the marriage takes place among different tribes in different ways. For example, Bagoda in Bhils, Kitivari in Murias, Dudh Lutana in Gonds, or Paithu or Paisa Mundi, in which a girl goes on her own to her lover's house to live with him, and various other types which are discussed, which we are going to discuss in the next uh, section. And among the enlightened sections, marriage is arranged either by willing couples or by their elders. And the marriage ceremony, actual marriage ceremony, is quite, the process is quite lengthy, and this elaborate practice starts from the simple ones, and moves with the more complex and um, very orthodox one. And the feast depends on the availability of funds and on customs and tradition of the particular tribe. And divorce is very much convenient among the tribals, and remarriage of a widow or a divorced woman is not at all a problem. Remarriage is done through Natra, a conventional device for the remarriage of divorced women and widows. Biha or Lagan, the first marriage is the approved ceremonial form of marriage, and there is a good deal of difference in the social and ceremonial aspect of uh, Biha or Lagan. And a widow may marry the younger brother of her dead husband, which is not a taboo in many tribes and many among the many agricultural communities. The If we see the death aspect among the Gonds, the disease or the dead is buried, but the Rajgons, they prefer to burn the corpus, and sannyasis and infants are given the earth, and the cremation takes place by a stream, and the ashes are submerged in sacred waters. The death of an elderly person is mourned by all the relatives. The close ones are expected to show extra respect to the dead by shaving of their heads. And with regard to ornament, as we can see, brass, zinc, or tin ornaments are common among the tribals. The traditional peasant jewelry not only fascinates the women but also indicate her marital status. And even the poorest women wear some sort of ornaments, headbands or earrings with the pendants of red, blue, and white beads, or bed belts with bells suspended are desired by the Adivasi women. Men wear bracelets in the wrists and mundri in the fingers. Dhoti is the regular outfit for the peasants of this region. A white or a black jacket called uh, bandi or mirzai, and safa is worn on the head in the eastern part of the state, and pagdi or the turban or paga is preferred in the western regions. And if you see the dressing pattern of women, most of the women they wear colored lehenga and choli. A piece of cloth known as orni or lugra is used to cover their head and their shoulders. And with regard to the features of the different tribes of this region, uh, the Gonds are the biggest group, as we discussed, of the scheduled tribes in terms of number, and most populous tribe in Chhattisgarh. They are also unique due to the fact that for some centuries they had a kingdom which they ran successfully. Uh, and with regard to occupation, they distinguished by their great liking for woodcraft and for sacrifices and eating bullocks. It is reported by experts that Gonds adopted newer and improved methods of paddy sowing, which was a complete departure from their old Bewar cultivation. Uh, and they had also adopted cotton cultivation and taken to rearing cattle. And small shopkeeping was another line which the Gonds had adopted for uh, you know gainful activity. And with regard to the language, we can see Gondi language is a very, is a Dravidian language, and Chhattisgarhi Gonds have even adopted the language, mode of dress, and even culinary practices of their neighbors. And in certain parts where the Gonds lived in common villages with Hindu caste, uh, they not only associated themselves more with this caste but strive to differentiate themselves from such scheduled and allied castes such as Kamaras and the Bhumijas. And the Rajgons have adopted the Hindu ceremony of marriage. The most distinctive feature of a Gond wedding is that the procession usually starts from the bride's house and the ceremony is performed that of the bridegrooms. And when a Gond wishes to marry his children, he first looks to his sister's children, whom he considers entitled to demand for his son. Such a marriage is called bringing back the milk. It is also known as Dudh Lotana, and the Gonds wear bali in the upper or middle part of the ears and lurki in the lobes, and toiring called chutka is very common. And now we'll move to the Bhils. The Bhils are most populous tribe in MP, Madhya Pradesh, and they are distinguished from most other scheduled tribes. Most other scheduled tribes, and and the reason actually why they are distinguished because they had a kind of due to their long association with the Rajputs, and they were described very courageous huntsmen, and very skillful in snaring gems, and very they are considered very clever fishermen. And with regard to occupation, their original occupation was agriculture. Uh, and most of them actually earlier they were known as agricultural laborers, and some had also taken up the work of village watchman. If you read G.S. Ghore's work, as I said from the beginning, very elaboratively, actually, Ghore discussed about the association of tribes with non-tribes. As I said, how he termed them as the backward Hindus. And with regard to language and culture, the Bhils are believed to have had a Mundari language. They speak the dialect known as Bhil, which is Malui or Nimadi, a dialectical specimen of the language of the locality in which they are found. And they too actually observe untouchability and their principal Hindu festival. And marriage by elopement is still prevalent among the Bhils. Then we'll come to the coals. The coals of Jabalpur region, uh, or after whom the Munda speaking tribes such as the Hos and Santals were Santals. They were actually earlier called as Kolarians, and they the coals made excellent workers and formed the bulk of cheap labor in many industrial centers, and they are more adaptable to changes and more accommodating, better inclined towards improving their living conditions. And with regard to Orans, Oran is also a very well-known tribe. They reached basically uh, central India from the south. They are found in Raigad and Suguja districts. They are less tenacious and more submissive, unlike the Mundas, who are very rebellious. And you must have heard the Munda rebellion, which occupied a kind of significant place in the history of tribal movements in India. And their main occupation, basically, the main occupation of the Orans is agriculture. The plough culture was introduced by them in the central province. They grow cotton and their women hand spin it. They're also good in carpentry. And with regard to language and culture, Orans speak a Dravidian language and are basically animist in their beliefs, like all the other tribes. The supreme being who is responsible for bringing creation into existence is called Dharma in Oran, and Dharmis is the one who is worshipped and to whom sacrifice is offered, even by the layman. And now we'll come to the Murias, Marias, and Abuz Marias. The Murias of North Bastar are associated with institution of Ghotul. The basically the bison or the horn Marias or the Singh. The Mari, they are the basically the Marias are settled to the south of the Indravati, and they have very little communication with the Murias of the north. And the Raja Muryas of the Jagdalpur Muryas consider themselves superior to other tribes. And the Abuj Marias have a strong wild appeal in their look as compared to the Muryas of the plains. They occupy the wild and more primitive interior of Bastar in the west, Narayanpur Tahsil. And now we'll come to the Baigas. The Baigas are a class of priests among the Gonds, basically. They are the people who know all about evil spirits and can avoid them by performing magical rites. And in Mundla district, there is a small tract called Baiga Chowk, known for its Baiga settlement. And the Baigas are considered by many experts as the original inhabitants of the central province. Baiga economy, if we see, mainly depends on agricultural pursuits and collection of minor forest produce. The other, employment opportunities for Baigas, if you see, they engage themselves as unskilled laborers and work in the forest. And they also love to work in the baris, land attached to the house, and grow maize, mustard, vegetable, roots, and bulbs. Then, uh, then if you see the present, status of the tribes of the region, it is actually with regard to literacy rate, it is increasing. In Chhattisgarh, which was 27% in 1991, increased to 60% in 2011, which is just 1% above the national average of literacy rate of scheduled tribes. In case of Chhattisgarh, which is a good sign, but in case of Madhya Pradesh, though it increased, but it is still below the national average. And if you see in Madhya Pradesh, the literacy rate of scheduled tribes increased from 18% to 51%. Then the sex ratio, if you see, the overall sex ratio of the ST population in Chhattisgarh is, uh, 1,020 females per 1,000 males, which is higher than the national average, and of 990 for the total ST population. And it is very much expected because in Chhattisgarh, since the literacy rate is higher, the sex ratio is also higher, which is a good sign. And economic categories, if you see the in Madhya Pradesh, uh, cultivators, they constitute 4%, and in Chhattisgarh it is around 1.2, and the agricultural laborers, they constitute in Madhya Pradesh it is 69%, and it is Chhattisgarh it is 73%. And household industries comes to 16% and 29% in case of this girl. And with regard to now we'll move to the tribes of Jharkhand, Gujarat, and Odisha. Basically, if we see what are the major tribes, actually, they first will start with the tribes of Gujarat. In Gujarat, the major tribes are Bhil, Halpati, then Basava, Rathava, and these are the major tribes actually. And who will start with the Bhils. The Bhils, they constitute half of the state's Adivasi population, and they are the keepers of basically bows and arrows. They include tribes like Garasia, Bhilala, Dholia, Dholi Bhil, then Bhil Rawal, Bhil Basava, and Pawara. And if you see, their color complexion is dark, very strong built body, physique, and wheels usually stay in scattered hotments, made of clay grass and other indigenous material. Bhil habitat both in rural, they can both, reside in rural and urban areas. And if we see traditionally, Bhils actually they put on short dhoti, a chadar and a safa covering their heads. The women wear coats, mini saris, and backless. Then, uh, if we see uh, a silver bhoriu, a solid round shaped kadu, or we call it as anklet, and they also wear big rings. They decorate the a wheel man, while the women adorn anklets on legs, silver waist ring, then silver rings on fingers, and they usually eat maize and urad dal. Besides, they consume kodri, putti, bartobanti, gram, wheat, rice, pea, and tuvar. They consume meat of buffalo, chicken, deer, rabbit, etc. And liquor is also freely consumed during religious ceremonies. If you remember correctly, actually, in the past when we discussed about Karnataka, and Kerala, we discussed that how several tribes they are actually alcoholic. They are not consuming alcohol. But here actually liquor is freely consumed, and then uh, if we see their level of literacy among Bhil tribe was 60% in 2011, which is also a good sign. It is an improvement from the previous census. And now we'll move to before we move, we should know that the Bhils they basically they speak and they understand Gujarati. And now we'll move to the Halpati tribe. Among the scheduled tribes, Halpati is one such group that mainly habitat in South Gujarat region, and their number is more than 5 lakhs. And the tribe mainly has settled in the plain areas of the district of Surat, Navsari, Valsad, Bharuch, and Bhadodara, along with other non-tribal and high-caste Hindu people of rural areas and towns. There are hardly any written literature or reference material available about this tribe, and there are several sub-tribes of Halpatis, which includes Lala, Valsadia, Barania, Turiya, Damani, Haraviya, Isaria, Kodia, Talavia, and Bhatia. And they reside in kacha houses, the wall made from clay and grass, and pakka houses with brick walls and roof made up of cement sheet. Uh, they do not have actually their own dialect. The language has a mixed impact of several caste communities which surround the Halpati families such as Desais, Patels, Kolis, Muslims, Parsis, and other tribal communities. And now the Basavas mostly habitat in Bharuch, Surat, and Narmada district of Gujarat, and they live in single-story house made of teak or kherut. The walls are made from bamboo strips or cotton plant sticks. The houses are either scattered or in groups, and Basavas have no script of their own. Uh, they basically use own Basavi language dialect for conversational purpose. The Basava who stay near Khandes of Maharashtra have effect of Marathi in their dialects basically. And Basavas they consume both leafy and root vegetables. And along with vegetarian food, they also consume meat and fish. And if you see the marriage pattern, Basavas usually arrange marriages in their own tribe, decided either by parents or by self-choice. The prevalence of remarriage is allowed in Basavas, and a divorce takes place only in case of doubt. And the divorce should be granted by the punch. The husband orders for a new sari and he gives a piece of the sari to the wife. This is a symbolic expression. But nowadays, the decree to divorce is obtained sometimes through court. And now we'll move to the Rathwa tribe. Just a minute. It's very noisy. And now we'll move to the Rathwa tribe. In India, Rathwa tribes seem to have concentrated mainly in the states of Maharashtra and Gujarat. And if you see the data provided by the Bombay Gazette, the Rathwas have originated from the Rath area of Madhya Pradesh, and uh, the Rathwas in Gujarat have settled in the district of Pan- Panchmahal, Dahod, and Vadodara, and as per 2011 census, they constitute 7% of the total tribal population. Traditionally, they can easily be identified by their stout body, fair skin, and well built structure. They wear colorful dress, and it was observed that men folks put on langoti, which is and if you see Rathwas, they wear heavy ornaments. They wear actually heavy ornaments, and in Rathwas tribe, it is customary to keep pithora, a wall picture containing religious legends on walls. They worship Hindu gods and goddesses and celebrate festivals like Diwali, Navratri, Divasa, Holi, etc. And if we see the mobilization of mm, the tribes in Gujarat, uh, the Gujarat government actually time to time organized several programs and initiated several made several plan initiatives for the development of the tribals, and the strategies that are envisaged for development include to improve people's participation by way of effective decentralization through local self-governments, then involvement of civil society, then role of NGOs to accelerate socioeconomic development, then ensuring right to information for transparency, then mm, reforming civil service to improve accountability and efficiency, then administrative procedural uh, reforms for public government interface, then coordination of different public agencies for better synergy, project formulation, implementation, and monitoring, and empowering the marginal to act as pressure groups to resist bad governance and exploitation. Then large scale capacity building programs, technology supported benefit distributed mechanisms, and time to time, state also introduced the joint forest management system to bring changes with regard to with regard to the forest economy associated with the tribals. And now we'll move to the Jharkhand. And as we see, it was earlier, uh, the Jharkhand. If we see about Jharkhand witnessed the most uh, Jharkhand is comprised of several uh, important tribes, especially in India. Those who are historically very well known. And as per 2011 census, the scheduled tribe population of Jharkhand is about 26%. And among the tribes, Santhal is one of the major tribes, then Oran, then Bihors, Kharia, and if you see the mm, Santal, we are very familiar with the Santals when it comes to Santal rebellion and Santal movement, and it is one of the major tribes of Jharkhand, and they are habitat in Santal Pargana, then Singhbhum, Hazaribagh, Girir, Dhanbad, and Ranchi districts, and they belong to proto-asteroid racially and linguistically. They belong to that particular race. The tribe speaks a Santali language. They also know Hindi and Bengali. Then Santals celebrate festivals like Sarul, Karma, Sohrai, Jitya, Durga Puja, Diwali, Ramnavami, etc. And the Santals have nuclear family structure. The existence of joint family is rare. It consists of father, mother, and unmarried children. And Santals are politically very conscious, and from their tribe, national leaders like Sidhu and Kanhu have played a great role. We all know that. And Santals have traditional village panchayats and inter-village panchayat called Pargani, which is the custodian of all social functions of the village, coming under Pargana, and they settle all disputes between the villages. Mm, Santal dance is a very popular folk dance of Jharkhand, and the main attraction of Santal dance in Jharkhand is the colorful costumes worn by the tribal people. And now we'll move to the Oran tribe. Orans occupy the second position in the numeric strength of the tribe in Jharkhand, also called Kuruk and Dhangars. Orans are believed to have originated from the Konkan region, gradually migrated north, crossing the river Son, and finally settled down in Palamu of northwest of Ranchi district. They are mostly found in the district of Ranchi, Gumala, Lohardaga, Latte, Palamu, Garwaha, Hazaribagh, Dhanbad, Santal Pargana, and Singhbhum. Racially, they belong to Proto-Australoid and linguistically to the Dravidian family. And Oran villages are situated in plain areas basically. Their houses are rectangular in shape, each house consisting of 2 to 4 rooms, a veranda, a courtyard, and a cattle shed. And the important characteristics about the Oran's social life is the practice of Dhum Kuriya or dormitory life. It is the educational institution for bachelors where they stay together and get trained about their customs, culture, religion, and social life. Teachers of such centers are old men or priests. As soon as a boy attains 6 or 7 of age, he becomes eligible to become a member of the Dhamkuriya or common dormitory. Orans are basically agricultural tribe. They are good in cultivation, and Jhum cultivation of Chotnagpur is you know we must we all are familiar with, and it was Warrens actually who introduced plowing in Chotnagpur by replacing the Jhuming cultivation. And besides plowing, they also work in labor and tea gardens. In order to settle disputes between people and villages, political organization called para panchayats are constituted. That panchayat resolves the disputes. Uh, Now we'll move to the Bihors. Bihors have their origin from the Proto-Australoid racial stock, and they are one of the primitive tribal groups of the state of Bihar. There are also two types, Uthlu Bihor, Jagi Bihor. And Uthlu Bihors have wandering lifestyle, whereas the Jagi Bihors are settled. And agriculture is the principal occupation in case of both the communities. And with regard to the structure of their houses, it is conical in structure, and it is called as tandas. And the Birhors basically they practice monogamy. The common practice of marriage is by paying the bride price either in cash or in kind. The bride price includes clothes for the bride, bridegroom, bride's parents, brothers and sisters, and after the payment of the bride price, the marriage date is fixed with the help of the Tanda head. The kinship system of Biror model is a relationship based on parentage and marriage. In matter of inheriting property, the Birors follow the patrilineal tradition basically. And the Birors have a very systematic political organization headed by Naya. He is the social, political, and religious head of the Tanda. Now, we'll discuss about the Kharia community. The Kharia is a Dravidian tribe of Jharkhand. It's a Dravidian tribe of Jharkhand, and the inhabitants are mostly settled in uh, the southwest corner of the Ranchi district and Palkot. Uh, The Khariyas are divided in three sections, namely Hill Khariya, Dudh Khariya, and Dhelki Khariya. The Khariyas have nuclear family structure where the father, mother, and unmarried children reside together. The Khariya family is patriarchal, where father's decision is regarded as final. With regard to Khariyas, they believe in traditional system of marriage and sex. Intertribe, extramarital, interclan marriage are considered as social crimes. For settlement of village disputes, there is the system of village panchayat, and its decision is obeyed by all. The Kharia women are hardworking and they are the custodian of household possessions, family customs, and community tradition. In matter of religion, the Khariyas believe in Hinduism and Christianity. They celebrate mostly popular festivals like Sarhul, Karma, Sohari, Jitya, Deepavali, and Ramnavami. Now we'll come to Odisha. Uh, the tribes of Odisha are nearly about 7 million from a major portion of the total population of the state. All the districts of the state possess a tribal population. However, the districts of Rayagada, Koraput, Malkangiri, Navrangpur, and Kalahandi have more than 50% of the tribal population. And if you see what are the major tribes actually they reside in Odisha, uh, the popular one is Bonda Poroja tribe. Bonda Poroja tribe of Odisha as one of the primitive tribes, uh, and they mostly reside in southwestern provinces of Odisha. and especially in the rugged and mountainous regions of Malpanagiri district. They are identified by the name of Remo, Bonda, Bondo. Remo means people in the Bonda language. In fact, Bonda Poroja speaks with each other in a language which falls into the Munda group of the broad language family of Austro-Asian group. According to the study made by the anthropologists and the scholars, the Bonda Porojas are considered descendants of Austro-Asiatic tribes. The interesting thing about the Bondaparja tribe is that they have retained their originality. They have conserved their heritage due to their exclusion, and uh, Banda tribes are among the few tribes of India who till days follow a process called Binmoy Protha, signifying the give and take policies, and they frequent they frequent the local market for carrying out these activities. There is a custom prevalent in the tribal community that the bride has to be older than the groom, and the Bondas celebrate different festivals with great merriment. And among these festivals, uh, Patkhanda Yatra is worth mentioning. Now we'll come to the Bhunjia tribe. Hunja tribe is an ancient tribe uh, of Odisha. It's a small Dravidian tribal group basically found in Nuapada district of the state. They are also known to be a subdivision of Halvas of Bastar who basically ran away from Bastar as a result of clash with the Dhakas, and just like any other tribe, this particular tribe who have adopted the profession of shifting cultivation, and they have also learned to sustain their living by gathering and selling non-timber forest products. The costume of this particular tribe is very colorful and attractive. The men of this tribal group generally wear piece of cloth and shirt. Uh, And this tribe follows the traditional system with formation of village council as the key unit of village administration. An important aspect of this society is the status of their women, and when it comes to opportunities, say equality in shares, we can see the gender equality, the prevalence of gender equality when it comes to property as well as responsibility sharing. Then the Bhagata tribe are regarded as one of the aboriginal tribes and also are one of the scheduled tribes of India. And the unique feature of this tribe is their dance is very popular. That and their dance is called Dhimsa dance, and that Dhimsa dance, unique feature of Dhimsa dance is that it spread the spirit of friendship and alliance between the people residing in the nearby villages. Since this is a traditional form of dance of Bagata tribe, the female folks dress up in distinctive tribal clothes and also wear beautiful ornaments. And all the Bagata dancers dance in the rhythm of Mori, Kirdi, and Tudumu, Duppu, and Jodukomulu. Most of the Bagata tribe are Hindus, and they also worship Hindu gods and goddesses along with their tribal deities. And so we'll take a break here, then 10 minutes break. After this, we'll resume our discussion on tribes of Goa and Maharashtra. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, we'll take 10 minutes break. So yes, now we'll discuss about the tribes of Goa and Maharashtra. Am I audible to everyone? Anyone can confirm it.
Yeah, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So basically, there are 47 tribes in Maharashtra. Uh, uh, Out of them, there are 17 numerically and ethnographically important tribes, and the inhabited areas of tribals have been divided into mainly two regions. One is Sahyadri region, comprising 31 tahsils in 7 districts, and Gondwan region, comprising 16 tahsils in 7 districts. And this regional demarcation was found, to be very necessary and important because of ethnic and cultural similarities among the tribals residing in these regions. And if you see the major, you know, tribes of uh, Maharashtra, uh, basically, just a minute. Uh, According to 2011 census, the tribal population of the uh, state was around 9%, 9.35% of the total population, and there was comparatively more concentration of them in districts like Chandrapur, Thane, Nasik, Dhule, Nandurbar, and Yavatmal. And the principal tribes or the major tribes of Maharashtra are Bhils, then Mahadev Koli, Gond, Warli, Kokna, then Katkari, Korku, Kolam, Gamit, Thakar, Pardhi, Andh, Malhar Koli, Pardhan, Dhanka, Dhol Koli, etc. And if you see, the government of India has recognized uh, from the beginning, if you must be aware of this fact that uh, the government of India has recognized some tribal groups as being very primitive, and the special plans as well as grants were sanctioned for their development. And we see in Maharashtra, the state has also recognized some of the tribes as primitive, and one among them is the Media Gonds from the Gadchiroli districts, Kolams from Yavatmal district, and Kinawat and Katkaris from Thane district. And if we see the socio-economic life of the tribes in Maharashtra, in the initial stage of economic development of Maharashtra state, tribal community has not joined the mainstream society as it happened in most of the cases. Actually, if you see, apart from Northeast, other parts, the tribals of other states, they remained actually, in the perpetual, uh, distance from the mainstream society. They maintain the perpetual, distance. And the main source of income for tribals in Maharashtra are the collection and uh, sale of forest products, minor forest produce, farming, fishing, hunting, and uh, forest, labor. Then, if you see, uh, they collect different varieties of minor forest produce and sell them to the non-tribals in the nearby bazaars or markets or mandis, where the traders, unscrupulous traders, they exploit them by offering a very lower price for their forest produce. Then, if we see the socio-cultural life, it actually survived in case of Maharashtra because of the higher degree of solidarity and the respect towards their tradition and customs. And despite of introduction of several schemes, uh, the tribes of this region have not shown much progress, and one of the reasons can be their lack of contact with the urban world and lack of knowledge of regional, national, and other foreign languages such as English. And however, there are few tribes such as Konka, Konki, Kokna, Koknis, then Mahadev Kolis have shown signs of progress. And as far as the educational status, if you see, it is well known that Maharashtra is industrial and commercially a very advanced state in India. And but then if you see the engagement of tribals in case of in the industrial sector, it is very low. Most of the tribals are engaged in as laborers, especially in the sugarcane fields. Labor contractors exploit them by offering lower amount of remuneration and making them work for longer hours. And even though the government of Maharashtra uh, taken a broad special schemes for tribal education, but still then they remained in the perpetual state of backwardness. Then if we see uh, the health and nutritional problems in tribal areas of Maharashtra, it is a as we see actually once the tribes they get connected with the mainland population, the diseases, the other form of health anomalies or virus, bacteria, they contract actually so easily. And since they are fragile of or they are not resistant to many of these modern diseases, the diseases mostly prevalent in the modern society, they often actually keep it as a secret and they do not avail the modern healthcare facilities, and they succumb to that. Just a minute. Okay. So very sorry actually for the I got an urgent call. So yes. So now we'll move to the tribes of Goa, and as all of us know, Goa too has been invaded by the Aryans, just like other parts of India. But then some tribes even they exist in that state even today, and the major tribe of Goa is Gaudas, but there are other tribes as well, which are Kunbis, Bhelips, and Dhangars. Though Goa is a very small place, and the major tribes, as I mentioned, it is Gaudas, Bhelips, Kunbis, and Dhangars. And with regard to the cultural identity, there have been no records of where from the Gaudas have migrated to, migrated to Goa, and they have known as the Gaudas as they reside in the interior village of Goa. Since they reside in the interior village of Goa, they are called as Gaudas, and the Gauda woman is basically the property is inherited by the wife after the death of the husband among the Gaudas, and after the death of the wife, it is distributed equally between sons and unmarried daughters. Women also play a very active role in economic matters and activities such as agriculture. And with regard to rituals, Gaudas are Hindus and they do not marry outside their tribes. They oppose the practice of other Hindu of cremating the dead. Instead, the dead are buried in a set buried ground. Uh, and if we see during the 1620, the Portuguese converted a part of Gaudas forcibly to Christianity. That is why the Gauda has split into three groups, and the chief deity of Gauda is Mallikarjun, the local name of Lord Shiva. And with regard to the new economic policy on Goa, basically tourism actually affected the tribals of this Goa region differently, and it was noticed that there was tremendous change in terms of livelihood preferences, and mm, now we'll move to the tribes of Bihar and West Bengal. So basically, uh, Bihar, if you see, it is demographically, if you see, the scheduled tribe population in the state of Bihar is only 13 lakh 36,000 as per 2011 census, and consisting only 1.2% 28% of the total population of the state. And the decadal growth of ST population has been 76%. uh, and if you see, the states has a total 32 scheduled tribes, and all of them have been enumerated at 2011 census. uh, and if you see, the tribes, basically they are Oran, Kharwar, Gond, Tharu are the major tribes, along with Santal, then along with Santal, Bedia, Ho, Mahali, Munda, and Lohra. And the cultural elements of tribals of Bihar, if you see, tribes of Bihar basically maintain their exclusivity by retaining their own identity and stature. And most of the tribes of Bihar reside in mud house with thatched roofs. The roofs are marked with baked tiles Often these houses have provision for kitchen gardens that grows various items like vegetables, and a space for the cattle they always keep for domesticated animals. And some of the tribes they have slopy dwellings. Some of them live in the leaf house. Santal tribe are the best planned along with the different apartments for the old folks. And with regard to the cultural aspect of tribes of Bihar, the most important festival for the tribes of Bihar is Sarhul, which celebrates the blossoming of sal tree. And each and every tribal community of Bihar celebrates this festival in the early days of springtime. Sal trees are worshipped in a sacred orchard, and different tribes have different ways of celebrating their festival. But then they in Bihar, the tribes they worship the spirit of the sal tree to try to find its blessing for a good harvesting. And most of the majority of the tribes of Bihar they earn their livelihood from cultivation and shifting cultivation in particular. And the most significant crop of this particular tribe is paddy. The tribes of Bihar is paddy. On a daily basis, the meal of these tribes comprises of boiled cereals and millets. And religious nature of these tribes of Bihar is best represented in the fact that there are diverse gods and goddesses, and these are namely Desauli, Jahiru Buru, and some others. And uh, now we'll discuss about the Santals, the third largest tribal community of India, are distributed in the states of Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, and Tripura. The Santal call themselves as Hor, which means man. The community is divided into two groups, namely Deswali Santal and Kharwar. As per the anthropologist observation, these Santal tribes mostly reside in every possible corner of the district of Bhagalpur, Purne, Sarsa, and Munger in Bihar. They speak Santali language, and it is believed that one of the oldest language in the Indian subcontinent. And uh, then comes with regard to their administration, the Santal tribes have developed the concept of village panchayat system. All the heads of the family they basically mm, constitute the members of the Santal tribes. The village leader is known as Manjhi, who used to hold rent-free land for his service. Their general rate of literacy is very low, but there are some well-qualified Santal persons who have excelled in their respective fields. Their active interest in the political affairs is evident from their representation in the state legislature and statutory village and regional councils. And political leadership have emerged from kind of at the regional and state level, especially through the participation of Jharkhand movement, which most of us familiar with. Now, if you see the Oran is one of the tribal communities found in India, which mainly depends on agriculture for their livelihood earning. They also call themselves as Kuruk, and Orans are considered to have the second largest population of tribes in Bihar and Jharkhand. Particularly, they are very efficient in gardening work. Orans are believed to have settled in Chotnagpur Plateau centuries ago. Orans mostly speak Kuruk language, which belong to the northern subgroup of Dravidian family language, and they follow, use Devanagari script. Uh, and if you see, Orans are further divided into Kudas and Kisans who follow patrilineal family customs. Okay. Majority of the Oran tribes are Hindus and are religious minded people. They worship gods and goddesses, but a great number of these tribes have adopted Christianity. And in the ancient days, this community used to follow Sarana religion. Festivals have been a part of the life of tribal since ancient times. Saharul and Karma are the two main important festivals of Orans. They are very fond of music and dance. Until a few years ago, they practice child marriage. Spouses are generally acquired through negotiation or with mutual consents. And now we'll move to Kharwar. They are different from the revivalist religious group bearing the same name among the Santals. And if we see, basically, the Kharwards in Bihar actually they are distributed among the hilly tribes, in the hilly tracts and forest areas, and uh, Sadri and Indo-Aryan language is spoken at home and Hindi with others. They use Devanagari script mostly, and basically the monogamy is the general form of marriage, and the earlier practice of polygyny is discouraged now. Adult marriage has replaced child marriage. They acquire spouse through negotiation, exchange, courtship, and intrusion. Customarily, they have to pay bride price, uh, or what they call as dali paisa. Post-marital residence is patrilocal. Divorce is allowed with social approval and compensation is paid through the aggrieved parties. And as in case of other tribes, widow remarriage is allowed, and divorce is also allowed for the remarriage with the social approval. And the Kharwar live with both with nuclear and extended families. Just a minute. Hello, hello. And if we see, mm, mm, monogamy is the general form of marriage, and the earlier practice of polygyny is basically discouraged now, as I mentioned earlier. And uh, the Kharwad basically they live in both nuclear as well as in extended families. Women carry out various domestic chores as well as other socioeconomic pursuits and contribute towards family income. And the settle cultivation is the primary occupation of the Kharwad, being supplemented by hunting, gathering, and wage labor. And the Kharwads have made moderate progress in the field of uh, mm, education. And when it comes to they use healthcare system, they use both indigenous and modern system of medicine. A few among them have been granted loans by governmental agencies, and they also avail uh, benefits extended by the governments in terms of sending their children to schools, and their children are also the beneficiary of midday meal scheme, and they also avail the benefits of uh, public distribution system. These are few facts. Then now we'll move to the gonds of Bihar. Uh, if you see, mm numerically, the most dominant tribe of India is, Gond is one of the most dominant tribe, and their homeland extends from Satpura range down to Godavari, from Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand to Andhra Pradesh, and from Maharashtra to Odisha. The mother tongue of Gonds at Bihar is Sadri. They are conversant with Hindu. They use basically Devanagari script, and there are three main divisions, namely the Rajgond, the Dhurgond, and the Kemia. And a system of cross cousin marriage exists among Gonds of Bihar. The marriage of first cousin is considered suitable. Bride price is also prevalent. Marriage is generally adult. The most distinctive feature of Gond marriage is that the procession starts from the bride's house and the wedding is held at the that of the bridegroom, in contradiction to the Hindu practice. And the religious practice of Gonds present much variety. The tribals are mostly divided into groups worshipping seven, six, five, and four gods, presiding over the village destinies. Agriculture is the mainstay, coupled with hunting and food gathering. The Gonds are mainly engaged in agriculture, and the great bulk of them are farm servants and laborers. Total literacy rate among Gonds is 609%. Sorry, 60 60.9%. Then if we see the proportion of educated male is 72.8, and the educated female proportion is 48. This indicate a kind of good progress. And now we'll move to the Mundas. The Munda is a very of Sanskrit origin. It means headman of a village. They believe that they are the descendant of Singbonga, the supreme god. Munda and ancient people also lend their name to the language called uh, Austroasiatic or Mundari or Kolarian, which is one of the four language families in India. They use basically Devanagari script. The Mundas of Bihar are divided into totemic clans, and the group endogamy and kili exogamy constitute their marriage boundaries. They basically prefer adult marriage, but there are also cases of child marriage, and among them, the common mode of acquiring a mate is through negotiation. Other mode resorted to are mutual consent and elopement, service, intrusion, and exchange rarely takes place. And monogamy is the commonest form. Mundas are mainly nature worshippers. They also worship their ancestors. They also worship clan and village deities. Uh, Now we'll move to uh, the. Similarly, there are like Munda, Oran, and others. There are number of other tribes like Bathudi, uh, then Binjia, then Birjia, then Chikbaraik, then Khond, then Savar, then Goret, then Paharia Korwa, then Sauria Paharia. Then, if you see the present scenario of tribes of Bihar, as for as we discussed, they only constitute around 2% of the total, tribal population. Then now we'll move to the tribes of West Bengal. Numerous tribes who reside in the rural part of the state, the state of West Bengal. And if you see, if you count their numbers, uh, around 40 types of tribes they reside in West Bengal, and among them Asur, Baiga, Badia, Bedia, Bhumis, Bhutia, Serpa, then Birhor, Birjia, Chakma, Chero, Chikbarai, Garo, Gond, Goret, Hajang, Ho, Karmali are the major tribes. And with regard to the numerical representation, the West Bengal stands better than Bihar. They have around 6% of the total population of the state as tribals. Then half of the tribal population is composed of Santal tribes, and around 12% are by Orans. And then comes the Bhumis tribe. And the cultural elements of tribes of Bengal, if you see, many of the tribes of West Bengal have adopted to diverse religious practices, and among them Hindus, with its subdivision of various castes and native tribes, has filled three-fourths of the total tribal population. And apart from Hinduism, there are also followers of Islam, and most of the tribal groups of West Bengal they speak Bengali. They can speak Bengali, and they are quite proud of their enriched culture and language. Uh, Most of the people of the especially the tribes of West Bengal, they also worship some of the Hindu gods and goddesses. Durga Puja is one of the most major festival of Hindus of West Bengal, and the tribal groups also celebrate this festival with much cheer, cheerfulness. Some other festivals like Makar Sankranti, Kali Puja are also fitted in the whole of tribal society. They have their own tribal occasions and festivals. The tribes of West Bengal are mostly farmers, but many of them are also engaged in some other occupations like carpentry, weaving, hunting, fishing, etc. Rice is the staple food of the tribal people of Bengal, and sometimes they include fish, meat, chicken, and fowls in their diet. And uh, we have already discussed about Santals, and here actually in West Bengal, the Santals, apart from Santali language, they also speak Bengali and Hindi. Apart from, unlike the Santals of Jharkhand, the Santals in West Bengal, they are bilingual. They can speak either Bengali or Hindi. And the members of this Santal community in West Bengal have distinct ways of wearing clothes. Their women wear either sari or two pieces of cloth, one as a long skirt and other for the upper part of the body. The men wear a loin cloth while at work and a longer dhoti. And similarly, most of them their major occupation is agriculture, though initially actually they were the traditional occupation of them was hunting and gathering, but now shifted to, now they have shifted to settle cultivation. And with regard to the orans of West Bengal, it is almost resemble with the orans of Jharkhand and Bihar. And similarly, as we discussed, uh, they also speak Bengali language. uh, and apart from these tribes, there are also Munda, as there is also a Munda tribe in West Bengal. Munda tribe also compose a kind of uh, significant proportion of the tribal population. And as we discussed earlier, the name of Munda is of Sanskritic origin. It means headman of a village. The Munda are basically the ancient people, and The Munda of West Bengal are also known as Manki. They have several groups. They are distributed in the district of Midnapur, Purulia, West Dinjapur, Malda, Darjeeling, Jalpaiguri, and some adjacent district. They prefer adult marriage, but there are also cases of child marriage. Cultivation is their traditional as well as primary occupation, while hunting and collection of forest produces are subsidiary occupations. Now we'll come to Bhumis in the western district of West Bengal. They are prominent groups of Bhumis, although numerically they are considerably behind the Santals and Bauris. They live in territory between Kashi and Subarnarekha rivers, and their village headman is known as Sardars. And next tribe is called Kora. It is the West Bengal state is houses Kora tribe who are found in every hook and nook of the region. And as per the recent survey conducted in the region, these Kora tribes constitute of 3% of the total population. Most of the Kora tribe converse in the Kora language, but then also apart from that, uh, they also speak Mundari language. That particular language, Kora language, belongs to the Mundari language family group. Now the Koras have taken up jobs like sharecropping, wood carving, and also various construction work. Apart from their traditional work of occupation of earth digging. Then the Lohra community. Apart from West Bengal, the Lohra tribes are scattered in some districts of Jharkhand, namely Singhbhum, Santhal Pargana, Ranchi, Hazaribagh, and Palamu. Being the artisan tribal community, the Lohra people are adept in iron craft making. The Lohra tribal communities earn their livelihood by getting employed in different occupations. The lower tribes of West Bengal have they also celebrate a diverse number of festivals, and uh, they are very fond of songs. Both male and female of lower tribe perform dance from wearing their conventional attires, and uh, the costumes of this tribal community are similar to other tribal communities of this region. And the male folks of this community wear ganji, kurta, dhoti, and the female of these communities wear sari, blouse, and salwar kameez, dupatta. Then Lohra tribe of West Bengal are one of the notable tribes that have occupied major position in the state. Then the Bhutia tribe. The Bhutia tribe, one of the prominent tribes residing in West Bengal and are mostly found in hilly district of West Bengal, including Darjeeling and Kalimpong. These Bhutia tribes have crossed various passes of Himalayas region, and they are generally speaks Sikkimese language. This language has got similarity with some of the foreign languages. Moreover, Nepali language is widely spoken by quite a number of Bhutia tribes. Apart from these tribes also speak in Hindi, Bhutia, Lepcha, and English. The Bhutia tribe are mostly farmers. They produce several vegetables and fruits. They are follower of Tantric Buddhism. In fact, they follow all the rituals and rites related to this sect. The Bhutia cuisine comprises of rice, which is the staple food. Then, among Bhutia tribes, West Bengal, marriage is held in high esteem. Usually, intermarriage within their clans is prevalent. And like Bhutia, there are also some other tribes like Mahali, which is one of the rare tribes of West Bengal. And you get only in Mahalis, you will get only in West Bengal and Jharkhand. They mostly reside in Santal Parganas and certain other regions of Jharkhand and adjoining districts of West Bengal. Uh, Mahali people traditionally earn their livelihood by selling articles made of bamboo. Malis are typically have a tattoo on their of their name on their hand. So this is what, and today we could complete the tribals of Central India, and with this we'll conclude today's session. So if you have any doubt, you please ask me, or else we'll conclude the session. No. Okay. Okay, Hussein, you please.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, after studying for all this time about the tribes, sir, one thing is clear that the tribes themselves are very diverse, sir. Like, obviously in India it is diversity, but when comparing with the foreign tribes, sir, the
Yes.
Indian tribes are very much dependent on the agriculture, hunting, and very traditional activities, sir.
Yes.
So, sir, I was wondering that is this activity that is dependent on the forest and hunting activity, does this make this tribe of fixed mindset, or are these of flexible mindsets, sir?
No, see, Hussein, it's a very interesting question. But then, mm, pass through the references and available studies, you'll come to know that if whatever policies till the date government of India uh, introduced, whether it is land reform policy, whether it is green revolution policies, everything revolves around the benefits attached to these policies revolves around land. And most of the tribal areas, see why actually they did not move out from the agriculture, and they cannot see a world beyond agriculture. The reason is uh, even though they want to shift from traditional to modern agriculture, most of the tribals, I don't know how far actually you are familiar with about the land rights and land records of the tribals. If you read, you will come to know that a rare proportion of tribals, they have their land record on their own name. Okay, they cultivate, though they cultivate land, and they know that they are that land is controlled by them, but then rarely they own them actually. And with regard to agriculture, they, whoever actually progressed in terms of even if in today's modern society, if you see, if someone is shifted, a generation shifted out from agriculture and they are doing something else, there must be someone from their family who was first in the agriculture, and through agriculture they have earned their livelihood, they earn their obtain their education, they sustain their family, and they evolved and they changed their profession. But then agriculture paid them off. But in case of tribals, actually they fail to accustom themselves with the modern agricultural practices. It is not their fault. It is the fault is in with both the sides, and mostly for with the sides of the government or the state, which brought several policies but failed to implement them with utmost rigor. That is why actually it failed. See, land reform we brought, but then before policy got implemented, uh, the selling surplus land got distributed among the members of the households. And by the time the policy came into force, people rarely had large patches of land on their name. And similarly, so in case of, if you see the Vinoba Bhave's movement, Bhudan movement, whatever land actually we got surplus land, all are, most of them are barren and situated in very long distance locations, which was of no use actually, which were of no use. So that is why actually, they it will take some more years. You see, United States of America, they had also, tribal population, but then how they integrated them? They integrated them by, making them familiar with the modern method of farming. They entirely, integrated them with the market transition. They became now their tribes are part of the market economy, but we failed to do so. We expanded roads, but not for, transporting goods for them, but rather importing forest produce, like tree trunks, then other produces, forest produces, for ourselves. We introduced, established schools, but then rarely we monitored actually whether how the schools are running. So that is what actually, and we always actually tried to, we failed to indigenize the local knowledge, and we did not emphasize their need. For example, recently a scholar called Felix Paddle from Oxford University, Sussex University, he actually said that he went to study Dongria cons, and he said that in the school teacher is teaching them A for apple, and he asked the previous generation, that means that school, children's father, did you see apple? Then he said no. Then he asked the children, have you seen a real apple? No. Then the children said, the kids said no. Then he said, what is the point of teaching them A for apple? Instead of actually, we can teach them a particular word, or a particular about a particular good which they see, which they use. So the apple is useless for them actually, basically. The reason is his father also did not see apple, but then he studied A for apple. Similarly, the son is also studying apple. Probably he may not. He will, in near future, he may not be able to, see a see an apple. And who knows actually, his next generation also. Oh, there is a kind of, if this trend continues, there is slender possibility of seeing an apple, even for the next generation. So if you start actually analyzing, we'll get to know that, problematics are existing in every sphere actually, and to get out of that, we need a kind of, substantial policy revamping. So that is what in this way I can answer. That is why actually you see, people are, especially in, the, tribal areas. You see Narayan Patna, you see the, why actually only, tribal population, they indulge into these, extremist, activities. They are somewhere actually, in the past 50s, 60, 70 years, we failed to convince, we failed to, integrate them with the process of development. We fail to understand the actual development, the way actually they conceive development. We rather imposed our development model on them. So that is why actually probably they are actually, lagging.
Yeah, sir. Sir, and one more thing, sir. Sir, yesterday we were actually discussing about the Tamilian tribes and the tribes from the Nilgiris, and then we went to Kerala and then moved upward. So, sir, actually, then today we talked about that the tribal are getting women are getting 48% literacy and 60% literacy. Sir, this seems that they are open to the education, sir. So, if they are getting more educated, so obviously the young ones will be moving towards the skilled and other skilled works. Sir.
No, that is true. But Hussein, everyone knows that, what, when it comes to literacy, what we mean, right? Just signing the name is writing the name, itself, tells that we are, literate, right?
Yeah, right. So that here also same Madhya Pradesh, same thing was observed that
Yes.
mostly hardly they feel that if we are speaking Hindi and the divide is there, sir, between Hindi regional language then with Hindi then with English. There is a lot of divides. And
Yes.
one more thing, sir. Like in Tamil Nadu, sir, there are political parties like AIA, DMK, DMK, like Dravidian and that Periyar that we are talking about, like E. Ramaswamy.
Yes.
So the socialites and the social reforms that they have brought throughout these years, more than around decade or so. So sir, I feel that if the political party in Madhya Pradesh also, sir, same things were happening. Like Mr. Shivraj Singh, Honorable Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, brought a lot of reforms for them, sir, including the agriculture reforms, sir. So Madhya Pradesh actually developed in the form of agricultural state, sir. So sir,
That,
similarly like that, AIADMK is also doing for the particularly the vulnerable sections of the tribals. So that if the political party runs is belongs to the tribal person, like specifically a political party who is like AIDMK, Dravidian Party, and like that. So sir, it can be much helpful for the tribe. Is it so, sir?
Hussein, actually, of course, if there is resistance, there is a possibility of upliftment. You see, there was resistance. You cited EB Ramswamy Periyar, then Tamil Nadu, number of resistance Tamil Nadu society experience, West Bengal also experience. But then you see these states emerge successful, relatively successful when it comes to land reforms, since the people resisted. So the state machinery, they had always a kind of fear that if we fail to implement appropriately, there might be protest, there might be insurgency. So you see, you read actually land distribution among the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in India by B.B. Mohanty. It got published in Economic and Political Weekly. It is an interesting piece of work actually. There, uh, so you can read that, Hussein. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So we'll conclude here then. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir. Good day, sir.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.